Hi guys, so this video I'm going to discuss my grades 9 and 10 years of high school where I lived the grades 9 to 12. If you didn't watch the previous video, just know that where I live, high school is 2 semesters of 4 classes each, and that I had spare periods given to me because of my anxiety around homework. And also, I apologize if I'm looking to the side. I am following some notes here a little bit. So, on my first semester of grade 9, my start of high school, I had my spare period, of course, and I had English, science, and a rotating music religion course. So English and science class were pretty much how you'd expect them. I had EAs with me for both of them because sitting nicely and listening didn't come naturally to me yet. It took a lot of practice for me to learn how to without a huge amount of effort to sit and be a student. There were still outbursts. I would still need to be removed sometimes. I would need a break sometimes. So they gave me EAs in those classes. Um, and then I had my spare period, and they had me with an EA as well, to help me stay on track. Help me. My organization back then was pretty bad. So she would sit with me, help me organize, help me, work on assignments. It was great. I benefited from that. And sorry. And then there was the rotating music religion thing, and that was a little bit different in two ways. In the I talked about applied and academic streams in my previous videos, and my English and science classes were applied, and there were other characters, and I did have sometimes headbutt with other students. There were challenges, which is another reason I had EAs. In the music religion thing, they assigned me an EA and removed her quickly because that class was open to both applied and academic students, and most of the students who chose it were academic, were better behaved, calmer, quieter, just better students. And because I largely feed off the behavior of people around me, more so when I was younger, I benefited from having the calmer students, and I didn't need help. Plus, in music class, you're focused on your instrument and on what you're doing, so it does. When you're focused on that, when you have something concrete to really focus on. For me, at least, it helps me block out other stuff. So I didn't have EAs for those classes. Um, and religion went successfully, and English and science I passed with, again, good grades. Music was interesting. So the way the music religion thing worked, you had music class one day, religion class the other day. So you would do those two classes rotating for the entire school year for both semesters, and then you would get 2 credits, one for each class. Right? Instead of doing religion one semester and music another semester. I don't know why it was a thing, but it was. For me, a music class wasn't great. My motor control on the instrument was interesting. But, and I was a little bit afraid of the teacher, so I would always come to pick up my instrument at the end of the day, so he would think I was taking home to practice. But it just sat there. But I shouldn't have done that, because what ended up happening was I left my clarinet in a snowbank towards the end of first semester. So probably about late January, or somewhere in January anyway. I had stayed back at school for help on some assignment, and I had to take a town bus home. And as the bus was pulling up, I put down the clarinet to get my bus ticket out of my pocket, got on the bus, and left the clarinet in the snowbank. So at the time I had no money of my own. My mom had to pay the school back, so she was thrilled. But the school, see, this is a really good first example of the school bending over backwards to help me, which I took advantage of at one point, which you'll hear about in another video. So what they did for me, they gave me a half credit for the music class, and then because every other day I would have 2 empty periods, I couldn't have 2 spares. They had to come up with something for me to do. So I would go to the core resource room, and they worked with an art teacher, and she would put together lessons for me and reading and little assignments from an art history textbook. So because with art history, it was theory, it wasn't actually doing art, so it worked well for me. I would go to the core resource room, and I would sit and work on my lessons. And through doing that, I was able to get another half credit, so I got a full arts credit, even though I left my clarinet in a snowbank. And then once I'd done enough art, and they felt that I had a full arts credit, they had to come up with something else for me to do that period. And I talked about in the previous video, um, sorry, where am I going with my thought? Anyway, so they, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, after I finished my arts credit, they had to come up with something else for me to do. So they set up for me, they called it, I believe it was called an independent learning credit. It was sort of a correspondence course, like you had a series of books to work out of, and you would complete lessons and you could earn a course credit. And I know where I was going. So in the previous video, I talked about doing a half credit course because I was worried about transitioning when I was with that special program and they had me integrated in the morning. I would go to history class, right? This was when I was with the special program. I would go to a grade 9 history class, and then halfway through the semester, I talked about this. They had me going to another class, even though it was a grade 10 level class. The idea was to get me used to that transition because I was anxious about it. And that class was called Careers. And I did that class, got that half credit. And normally what the grade 10s do, they have careers half the semester and another course called civics half the semester. And they get 2 half credits. So since I had my careers half credit, they had me do the civics half credit in the core resource room through this independent learning thing. So instead of 4 books, it was 2 books because it was a half credit. So I was able to earn that way too. So even though I left my clarinet in a snowbank, the school helped me still get a full arts credit and get this other half credit. So like, I can't say enough good things about my high school. It's polar opposite of my elementary school. So my second semester of grade 9 was pretty straightforward. I still had the religion, and then every other day I had to work in the core room, like I just talked about. And I also had math and gym. And I did not have any A in gym, and I wish I had because I only passed because of health class. Here's anatomy, label it. I was good at that. I was not scared of that gym teacher, so I just sat out and did what I want. I hated it enough that even after going through the special program, I was still not willing to do gym. I didn't like the teacher either. She didn't seem to care about effort. It was all about either you did it or you didn't. Like, I remember for some reason we had to go for a walk around the neighborhood, and you were graded on how long it took you. So I got a D because I was the last group to come back. So I didn't like that teacher either. That didn't help in gym. And in math, I had an EA, and she was moved. Because at that grade level, I could still pretty much handle the math. The teacher was strict-ish. She did send me to the hallway occasionally for outbursts, but she kept pretty good control of the class. I didn't have too much frustration with the material, so it was successful. So grade 10, the first semester of grade 10, they attempted to have me have full 4 courses. I had math, history, drama, and something called parenting, which I'll explain in a second. So history was the most uneventful. I'm looking it down a lot because I have notes here. History was uneventful. The kids liked the subject, I guess. The teacher was pretty nice, but the kids liked the subject. They sat quietly and listened, so I sat quietly and listened, and I enjoyed the material. Math, I should have had an EA. I didn't have one in history, by the way. Math, this was grade 10 math, but like a third of the class were grade 11 students. That class was full of. I actually had, this was one of the few times I was really like bullied, or bullied might be too strong, but teased in high school. I had a girl walk up to me, take my glasses off my face, stick them on her face, and the teacher walks in, and I told her she had my glasses, and she sat there insisting they were hers, which is actually impressive because I'm extremely nearsighted, so that must have been uncomfortable. But he gave them back to me. I spent a lot of time in the core room in that class. I couldn't tolerate being in that class. I would listen to the lesson, get my work, and go sit in the core resource room. If you want clarification on what the core resource room is, I talk a lot about it in a previous video. But somehow I completed the math course successfully. And then there was the parenting thing. So this was actually a grade 11 class. I guess they let me take it because I was technically grade 11 age. I don't know. But it was the course where you see this on TV and movies a lot, where the kids have to take care of like a fake doll. So it was that class. I had to take care of the fake baby. I didn't like the teacher. She was weird. She rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm usually the kid in the front row with my hand up. I used to sit in the back in this class 'cause I didn't want the teacher calling. And she first she looked at me like I was remedial a little bit. She only let me take the baby home for 2 days when the other kids got 3 days. I have no idea why, but I had fun with the baby a little bit. I passed that class again, and then there's drama. So they gave me an EA in drama, rightfully so, because it is a very social class. There's a lot of working together. So they figured I'd have challenges, but I thought I would also enjoy components because I do like being the center of attention, as you can gather from these. So they thought I'd be successful, but the teacher was weird. My mom likes everyone. She met this guy for 10 minutes at a parent teacher interview and told me how weird she thought he was. I'm convinced, not this isn't really relevant, but I'm convinced he was a closeted gay man. I don't know why he was in the Catholic board. Maybe he was being suppressed by his religion. Maybe that's why he was all weird and not like anybody. I don't know. I could not stand this person. He seemed to have it out for me, like he wanted me to fail. He would take, if there was a conflict, it was everyone's side and everything. He would take everyone else's side and everything was my fault. And the EA, who I was kind of an airhead, I think, she would take his side. She was not helpful. One of the last straws, I ended up dropping about 3/4 of the way through the semester. I ended up dropping drama and using it as a spare. And looking back, it's actually quite impressive that I managed homework on my own. And it was for those classes for that amount of time. I'm not sure how I did it. But yeah, I ended up dropping drama. The last straw, I think, was when we went on a field trip it's called Niagara on the Lake, which is by Niagara Falls. It's a town which is known for famous playwrights. And they put on a Shakespeare festival and we went to see a play. And when we got there, it was well before the play started. So everybody was to take a partner, and these are teenagers, right? They don't have to be, washed like cocks. So we were told we could go into town and do our thing, and we meet back at the theater for the play at a certain time. My partner was my EA. The teacher insisted on it, and of course, none of the other kids wanted to hang out with me with my EA. So I got even more isolated, more viewed as weird. Um, That was kind of the last straw with that teacher, although I'm sure there's more I'm not remembering. But I did ask to drop the class. I believe they gave me a half credit for it. I'd have to dig out my transcript to remember, but I'm pretty sure they did. And then I had a spare. And then second semester of grade 10 was pretty straightforward. They didn't attempt to give me 4 classes again. I just had religion, science, and English. Religion, the teacher was scary. I remember asking to go to the core room when I needed like extra time on a test or whatever, and she would actually tell me no, and I would just demur. But I passed the course, so whatever. I remember her being quite scary. There was never going to be behavior in that class. Science, I tended to be kind of silly. Um, a lot of the angry, storming behavior seems to have subsided because I understood myself and why I was different. That's probably a big factor. But yeah, I remember in science class being mostly silly, more than anything. The class tended to be high energy. I think I was kind of feeding off that. And there were a couple girls who were nice to sit with me in class. They actually came to my birthday party. I still wasn't really retaining friends. I was kind of immature about it. It's only maybe the last 5 years that I've been able to retain a couple of friends. But they were nice to me anyway. Most of the kids just ignored me. And then there was English. And there was a kid in that class. I think they gave me, if I recall correctly, they gave me an EA and then removed her quickly because they decided I was doing well enough. But I kind of wish they had left her because there was one kid in that class who was hell-bent on teasing me. He would say things that he knew were going to set me off. So I was constantly removing myself to the hallway so I wouldn't blow up at this kid. And I think the teacher was pulling her hair out, trying to intervene between the two of us. But English is a strong subject. Academically, I did well. I never had that kid in another class again. So, yeah, I was successful. I had pretty successful grades 9 and 10 years. And then I'm going to wrap it up there for today. Thank you.